Hey YouTube, it's 216 Papa Bravo here. Today I want to talk about changing over a die set. When I first got my XL650, I used some of my RCBS dies to fill in some of the blanks on my press. So I've decided to upgrade, not for any particular reason, but other than I want to have the best dies available. I think that's Dillon Precision. So I've got a new set of Dillon carbide dies for my 40 caliber here, and I'm going to show you how to trade those out. So we're going to go ahead and take out the dies. Actually, we're going to change tool heads also. Dillon came up with these neat anodized aluminum tool heads, and they come in black, blue, gold, and silver. They're billet aluminum, and they're really cool. So I went ahead and got one of those. I'm going to change the entire die set over, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. So I'm going to take out my RCBS dies, which were good dies, still good. What I'm doing is sometimes I like to do test loads, and rather than do it on a machine like the 650, I like a single, maybe do 20 rounds. I'll do it on a single stage press instead of doing it on the Dillon, just because it's more expeditious to do the changes and stuff on a smaller machine. So anyway, I'll have my complete die set again for the rock chucker, and then I'll have a complete die set ready to go for this for my regular loads. So let me get started on that. We'll get the camera adjusted. And alright, so I've basically taken it apart, taken my powder measure off. I'll set that aside. And I have the block out of the package. And here is the original tool head that I've had set up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the new set into the machine, and then all I have to do is transfer over the two dies, and I'll put these back in the other box. So we're going to start out with the D-primer resizer that goes in slot number 1, and if you're looking at the machine, this faces that way. This is a number 1 slot right here. So we're going to go ahead and enter that one in there. And what I might do before I do that, take this one apart. This is the sizer die. Just to show you the difference in the length, overall length of these two dies. You can see how this is a carbide die, this is a carbide die, this is RCBS, this is Dillon. You can see the overall length and how things are set up with the depriming tool and everything in there. Their radius is very, very narrow right here compared to the RCBS, so it actually resizes the case a little bit longer, better than the RCBS die does. So I'll go ahead and put this one in the new block. Turn that around so you can see them. Again, the machine, which if you're looking at the machine, this is the way you'd be looking at it. So the number 1 station is your D-prime station. We'll go ahead and load that one in. And we're just going to kind of set that just aside. Now we have two dies that are exactly the same, one for the powder drop and one for the powder measure, if you have that on your machine. These two dies are exactly the same. They are powder dies. Again, one is which you set your powder measure on, and the other one, if you have a powder check, that's what that die's for. So we're going to go ahead and loosen those babies up, transfer them over. And we're going to be approximate here. I'm not going to really be able to set them like I get on the machine. Just to show you. And again, the powder measure has the powder funnel in it, which also does your expanding right in here. So that just slides right in the powder funnel right there. And these will be approximate again. We'll have to reset the whole machine when I get there. Okay, then we have our powder check die, which again is a same die as your powder measure die. Put that one in there. And that's what this hole right here on the tool head is for, is so that rod that actually goes down to the bottom of the press can actually be strung through there to run the powder check. So that's why they have the hole there. Run that down a little bit. And then we're going to remove this die, which goes back in the RCBS box. And we're basically done with that setup. So then we have our bullet cedar die, and the die does come apart. It has two pieces to it. And if you can see this, inside here they have an interchangeable spud that allows you to seat either truncated or round nose. So you have a truncated one here, and you have basically your flat nose type here. So that's interchangeable with these. All you have to do is change this out. Only goes in one way. Put that up. That one with a big hole there. See, it just slides right in there. And that pin goes right straight across. It goes back in the die. Clip goes on. Easy peasy. Again, you want to adjust your cedar die every time you change your particular bullets. If you have, say, a 165 grain bullet that you're seating, that might seat differently than a 180 grain bullet. So you're going to want to do that, change this die every time you change a bullet. So you always want to look at that one. Then your final crimp die here goes in the last station. And we're just going to get these close. Not going to be exact. So when we get over the machine, we'll actually set this up and get it going for a pistol round, so you'll be able to see how we set each thing up. But there's your 5 stations ready to go. Put it in the machine, and we'll get going on how each one of these is set up, as far as the way they're set down, up or down, for your reliefs and all your seating and all that kind of stuff. So we'll move over there and take care of that. Okay, with that done, what I've done is I've basically taken as much off the machine as possible to give you a good idea of how this works. And I've laid everything out here so you can see all the different various pieces. Now, of course, we have our tool head here with the dies inserted. This is our basic conversion kit that includes all the pieces that we need to do 40 on the machine. This is our cam. Does have a rifle side and a pistol side. Our powder measure and a powder funnel, which comes as part of that kit, by the way. We have a rod that goes to our machine. This is our priming system, our powder check system, and then various things to make everything work. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and load the tool head into the machine. Simply put it in, slide it in, get our 2 pins, and set it in place. Okay. Now our first one is going to be our D-prime resize die. Alright, first die is relatively easy. It is a resize die. We're going to lower the handle, bring the head all the way up to the top. It's all the way down. Now we're going to take and screw down our die right here just until it touches that plate. It just touches the plate. All I'm going to do is I'm going to back it off like maybe a 1/16 of a turn, just like that. Now we're going to tighten that nut down without hopefully disturbing the whole mirror end. Okay, now while holding that still, I'm going to tighten the locking ring. Snug it down without turning the die. We should be just perfect in there. As you can see right there, we're inside that little groove on the shell plate, but we're not all the way down. Okay, so the best way to test this is to go ahead and run a shell casing up into our resizing die and then check it out. You can see we have deprimed the case and resized it fully. Okay, here we have the powder funnel. Goes into the powder die up here. I'm going to show the relationship where this works. As you
push the case into the machine and it goes up, you can see how it would stretch the case just a minute bit. And this part right here, this second level right here, is what gives you the belling. And the belling allows you to set your bullet on top so it'll actually sit there while you push it into the machine. It'll kind of sit there now, but it won't exactly fit, and you end up with crushed cases. So you want a little bit of belling, a little lip there, that allows you to securely put this in here without it being a bad fit. Alright, so our next step is to slide the funnel into the die so it bottoms out. Then we're going to put on our powder measure. I just want to have these loosened up enough to get this slip ring over this notch right here. It fits right down like that. And we're just going to lightly tighten these, not very much. Alright, now I got most of it back together. One thing I did want to mention on your cam here, this is the cam actuator that allows your cases to go down. You need to make sure this is turned correctly for both rifle and pistol. Think of this long angled side as for long cartridges, like a rifle cartridge. And think of the short side for pistols. So you have a pistol round there. You can see how the shortness of the pistol round matches the shortness of this side, and then the length of this side matches the length of a rifle type cartridge. And then make sure that it's flush across the back here. See how that's flush all the way down this actuator arm? Okay, so let's get started with the powder charging. Okay, I have a case in the shell plate, and I have the die, that's the part right here, this die right here that we're doing the powder measure with. That die is almost flush with the bottom of the tool head here. What we're going to do now is eventually we're going to get to the point where we're going to be able to run the machine. And you can see I've got part of the way, it's not quite all the way over on this, just by having it that far. We're going to have it dialed down where we can actually turn the die itself and not the powder measure. Of course, we're going to turn the die itself and get this measurement correctly. So this is all the way back across, and then we get a little flare on the shell. So that takes a little bit of fiddling to get that right, but all you have to do is now turn this down a bit, this die, and you can see I'm turning the whole die, not the, see how that works? So as we turn that down, we're going to make it the proper adjustment. Okay, so you have adjusted it down a little bit, and now as you run the machine up, watching the powder bar, it is making its full trip across right now. Maybe it needs a little bit more up. But now the next thing we got to do is get it far enough to where it actually does the belling of the case. So we got to get that case mouth all the way up the shaft of the powder funnel so where it actually bells that part of the case. So that's another adjustment down to get it to fit properly. Okay, I've got it down to the point where we're really getting pretty close. Now notice that my casing, my shell mouth, is still not being belled at all. So let's try this last adjustment and see if it works at all. Run it up there, getting full height on this. We're getting just really hard to see, but you can feel a little bit of a belling on the edge of that. And we're not quite there yet. The bullet wants to sit in there, but not quite enough what I would call a good fit. And you see how I can make it stay there now, whereas before I couldn't even make it stay at all. Here's another case that hasn't been belled, and you can see I can't make it stay on there in any way, shape, or form. But now with the slight amount of belling, I can at least get it in there, and the press can do the rest. So you can see how that is. So you're going to adjust it down just a hair now. What I'm doing is I'm picking up the weight off of this and just turning that die a little bit down, maybe another eighth of a turn. We'll try the case that doesn't fit on. Okay, it must be this one. There we go. So let's try that one. Okay, you can see a little bit of belling there, and the case should fit. See how that stays on there now? So what you want to do is we're going to run that back up there, leave it at the bottom of the stroke, get our wrench out, we're going to tighten down the die itself so that the die sits in the right spot. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our safety here. We do that by, when it's all the way down like this, make sure you can see what I'm talking about. Our adjustment is right here in this part right here. This has got to go under here, so we're going to turn this down quite a ways so it sits kind of level. Okay, we got it all the way down. Now we want to have it sitting up with a little bit of back tension on, so we're going to come back up a little bit. We get that right amount of tension. That should just come off the spring just a little bit, so there shouldn't be any slack in there. There's a little bit of slack still in that one. Okay, let's put a little touch more. And you want to be sure and pulls that rod down. Once that's set, we're going to tighten the 2 screws here. So this hangs virtually straight up and down, so it doesn't cant one way or the other. Just going to tighten these 2 screws down. And that's about it right there. Alright, so now we're basically set up in the first 2 stations. What I'd like to do now is take a couple of new brass cartridges that have not been sized. Go ahead and run them through the first 2 stations so that we know that everything sets right, that we are pushing this far enough in to get them set correctly, that the sizer works and decaps them. Okay, we can see that we've been sized correctly all the way down, and now we've decapped. Okay, and then we're going to make sure that our powder bar goes all the way across and that we're belling the case just enough to get it for that bullet will sit on there. Again, you don't want to do too much. Now you can, I don't know if you can really see that on the camera, but it's just enough of a bell to sit that cartridge in there. If you do, bullet rather, if you do more than that, what you're going to end up doing is splitting your cases, and then they'll be useless to you. So you want to be sure to not do too much on that bell, just enough to where this bullet will sit on there, so when you put it in the loader you can get it to go in easily. Okay, so far so good. Next one. Alright, those 2 stations are perfect. Alright, over to powder check station now. We're going to be able to put this on. You can see it's a simple mechanism, a simple rod that contacts the base here on the ram, and goes right in just like this. Fits right on, and as you bring the machine up, that rod's going to interact with the base. Okay, so what you're looking for when you bring the handle all the way down, you want to have it so this surface here barely contacts this rod by pushing up here. You can see how it indents that and how it lets off right there. Okay, you can see that, but that's as far as you want to go. If you push it too hard, you're going to end up breaking one of these parts. You don't want to do that. Okay, onto the seating die. Now I've taken the seating die apart again to show you the different parts, because I wanted to show you how the seating die interacts with the bullet. Remember, we had a double-ended collet on the inside of that allowed you to seat different styles of bullets. And you want a seating die that's going to fit that properly, like this one right here. See how it fits right around the bullet there? I hope you can see that. As close as possible. You don't want to have it where it catches the bullet way early like that. You want to have it so it catches it pretty deep and gets it straight into the cartridge without any problems of tilting or any of that kind of stuff. So you want to make sure that you have the right side, right end down, reassemble it, toss it right in the, put our push pin all the way through, back in the sizer die, spring on the top, and there you have it. Now the nice thing about the Dillon dies is you can take these apart really easy to clean them. When it's in the machine, you have it, this will be in your tool head. You just simply pull that pin off, and that whole assembly slides right out. You can clean it, take care of it, and do whatever you need to do. Slide it back up, and then put the pin on top, and you're good to go. Alright, now on to the bullet seating. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my sized cartridges that has a lip on it, and a bullet that we're going to use. Just set it in there. Okay, we're going to run the ram up, and now we're going to turn down the die until we get contact with the bullet. So go quite a ways down. Try to do this without getting in your way here. Alright, now there's contact with the bullet right there. Now I know that we have to go down quite a ways. We have to almost go down to where this truncation is. So I'm going to give it about 2 full more turns, 2 or 3. There's a half. There's 1. There's 1.5. There's 2. There's 2.5. Going a long way. There's 2.5. And almost 3 turns. So let's see what that got us here. Alright, we got a good start. Okay, so we need to go down at about halfway, so that's another 2 full turns. There's half. There's 1. 1.5. There's 2. Alright, we're looking for an overall length of 1.125. So there's our calipers. 1.14. See how very little adjustment it takes to make a difference here. .129, just a little bit more. Really, really close though. .123, very acceptable. Putting in our case gauge. Get her flat across the top, and you see there's nothing extending beyond the edge of the case there, so we're good to go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to ram that ram all the way up. That'll hold this part in place. We're just going to tighten her down now. Okay, you'll notice when I put the round in the case gauge that it kind of wants to not want to go in there, because that's because we have the lip a little extended here. Now with the final crimp station, station 5, where we're going to actually fix that. So we're going to go ahead and run it up, and we're going to run down the, if I can get around there, anyway, run the die down until it contacts that case. Well, that was pretty close. A little bit there. Run it down a little bit more. So got a little bit of an edge to it. So just keep running this down until you get it to where it's nice and smooth, where it's almost married that bullet. There. All right, starting to get better. A little bit more. And every one of these dies is the same way. Just you're going to start where it contacts, and you're going to go ahead and run it up in the machine, and you can really feel the difference too, how it wants to go in. So now you see how it just wants to fall in there for the most part. Just a little bit more. Now we're going to quarter turns. Ooh, that's feeling really good. Just a wee bit more. All right, excellent. Remember, the K cages are really, really tight. Your chamber, for the most part, will not be this tight. That has a really smooth feeling to it. We're going to go with that. So there's our finished, sized, primered, everything. This one isn't done, but we're going to, our next step is to fill up everything, fill the hoppers up, put the primers in it, run one test round through. We're going to check it on the case gauge, check it for overall length. And you can see that our overall length is still 1.124, so we're good there, 125. And that's how you set up the dies. So it's ready to go now. Each die has been done and set. And what we'll do is we'll run that back up there, get our wrench in there, tighten down that last station. There we go, good to go.